If you are a bad video game player like me, you're probably familiar with the websites that offer all the cheats and walkthroughs for various games. Guess what? There are cheats for the hero's journey as well. They are found in the movie Labyrinth. And Labyrinth is an 80s movie starring Jennifer Connelly and David Bowie. It was made before the hero's journey was popularized by Hollywood and movies became more formulaic. So it doesn't have all the steps in it and it doesn't feel like the same old thing. But it does have all the cheats. And by cheats, I don't mean I'm going to give you steps to win in your hero's journey. I'm going to tell you what to look for so that when you get to a crossroads and need to make a choice, you'll be better equipped to make that choice. Cool? And be sure to listen until the end because I'm going to recap them so you don't have to take notes. It will help if you know the movie, but if you don't, I'm going to give you tons of spoilers. So if you want to watch it first and come back, bookmark your place and come back to this podcast later. And while you're at it, you might wish to subscribe so you get notified when new content drops. The algorithm shows you what you like and subscribe to. So if you want more of this, give it a like. All right. If you want life hacks, here you go. So the movie starts in the park with a beautiful young girl wearing a princess gown. And we quickly realize this isn't a fairy tale movie or a period piece. She's an innocent girl who likes pretending that she's in a fairy tale. In her real life, she's an hour late for babysitting her brother so her father and stepmother can have a date night. And she doesn't want to do it. And she thinks it's not fair. So when her parents leave and the baby starts crying, she starts having a pity party. She's caught up in her feelings and isn't caring for the baby at all. She doesn't check to see if he needs a bottle or a diaper change. No, she just stands there wishing for the Goblin King to come and take the baby away. And she's weaving some sort of spell, but nothing happens because she doesn't say the right words. Then in frustration, she just says, I wish the goblins would come and take you away right now. And then suddenly the crying stops. She notices this right away, of course. And then she instantly regrets her words. And so we have two cheats in the first few minutes of the movie. If you get these two, the rest of your hero's journey is going to be a lot easier. Got it? Okay. So the first thing we see is that Sarah says, I wish. Wishing is desire. Desire is what kicks off the adventure. You want something. If you didn't want something, there'd be nothing to do and your adventure would never start. If you want adventure, want something. If you don't. The second cheat is that Sarah asks for this. The Goblin King didn't just steal the baby, he has permission to take him. Later in the story, Sarah and her friends have to cross a bridge to get out of the bog of eternal stench, but they can't cross without the guardian's permission. So once again, you need consent. There are natural laws, and one is that you are a powerful, sovereign creature, and the only way to get around that is with your consent. People can trick you, violate you, put the fear of God into you, but they cannot take your dignity, soul, free will, or values, or the things that matter without your permission. You are always sovereign and powerful, and you will see more of this as the story unfolds. But watch for how Jareth is always observing Sarah's boundaries. So, the Goblin King, who is also called Jareth, shows up in Sarah's room and tries to convince her to let him keep Toby, the baby brother, who is now at the castle in the center of the Goblin City, which is surrounded by a labyrinth. Jareth offers her a gift to forget the whole thing, and he says, I ask for so little. Just let me rule you, and you can have everything you want. Just fear me, love me, do as I say, and I will be your slave. And he offers her this crystal, saying it holds her dreams. He implies it's a life of ease and beauty. And isn't this what Sarah wants? She doesn't want responsibility. She doesn't want to be on time. She doesn't want to take care of her brother. She just wants to live in a land of make-believe where she gets to be the princess. And Jareth is offering this to her. So this crystal ball is illusion, an escape. And most of us are either offered this or imagine this choice. And we can stay in a world of dreams and avoid responsibility. We can engage in things that look shiny and beautiful, but in reality, they are hollow and meaningless. Ironically, Sarah chooses authenticity. So look for this choice in your hero's journey because I promise you it will come up over and over again. Responsibility and reality are typically hard, Not sexy, but there is a time and place for reality and a time for fantasy, so choose wisely. Sarah says she has to get the baby back, so Jareth tells her she has 13 hours to find him. If she can have her baby brother back. And if she can't, the baby belongs to Sarah. Now, Sarah's parents said that they would be coming home at midnight, but Jareth says she has 13 hours. And this is something that might be easily overlooked, but it's important for a couple reasons. First, we're talking about time. And time used to be marked by moons. There were 13 moons in a year. Then we went to the Julian calendar, and that was a move away from the feminine or natural way of doing things to a masculine system that involved control, order, and uniformity, and it valued the empire. So, in going from that 12-hour day to the 13-hour clock, she's moving back to the old, mysterious, natural, feminine, spiritual fantasy way of being. And 13 is also a number of transition, transformation, rebirth, and the divine. In tarot cards, 13 is the death card, but it doesn't mean dying. It means transformation. And this adventure that Sarah is on promises to be transformation. She's around 16. She's very innocent and has a lot of dolls and toys in her room, and yet she's on the edge of womanhood. And Sarah doesn't know it yet, but her journey into the unknown is an awakening of her femininity, seeing herself as an object of desire, and an awakening of her own desire. So, how is this a cheat on your hero's journey? This is about paying attention to detail. See all the symbols around you and know the rules change once you cross the threshold from the known to the unknown. The unknown is the realm of the feminine, and the rules change. Okay, so Sarah starts off with the fool's courage and lack of concern. She gets to the outer wall of the labyrinth and comes across Hoggle. And he's spraying fairies with bug spray. Sarah thinks this is outrageous because fairies are cute little creatures who grant wishes, and then one bites her. And this is another cheat that we all should know, but don't. And that is to keep an open mind and don't make any judgments until you have information. So we see what we want to see, and this is a great way to get swindled. I know I've fallen for the Kool-Aid a time or two, so I am more careful now. And remember that she's in the underworld, so things are definitely not as they seem, or at least not as they seem in the ordinary world. So you can't take things for granted. So Sarah can't find the way into the labyrinth, so she asks Hoggle, where is it? Hoggle doesn't answer her. Sarah gets frustrated and says, it's hopeless asking you anything. And Hoggle replies, not if you ask the right questions. That is a huge cheat. I'm a therapist. My job is to help people go from symptomatic to asymptomatic and functional. And at least half of them ask me the wrong questions and want things that aren't going to get them where they want to go. That's mostly because they want to outsource their decision making and responsibility to someone else, and because they only want to be pain-free. Being pain-free is not the same thing as being functional or responsible. Focusing on surface level stuff is going to get you surface level results, and transformation requires that you go deep. Remember that I said that Sarah is on the edge of womanhood. She doesn't know this yet, but in order for her to get there, she has to change the way she thinks. She can't be thinking about things outside of her that she can't control. She has to think outside the box, be more strategic, and also turn inward. And when she asks the question in a different way, she sees the way in. And once inside the labyrinth, Sarah meets a worm. The worm is friendly and warm, and they strike up a conversation. Sarah's frustrated because even though she got into the labyrinth, she still can't see the doorways. And the worm explains that they're everywhere. She just has to know how to see them. This is true for all of us too. The thing that you seek is always right in front of you. It just may not look the way that you think it should. You might think you're going for a better paying job, but you leave your current one for the new one, and your spending rises to keep pace with your new salary. And you're right back where you started. This is because you're looking at the problem all wrong. This has about 1 million applications. When Sarah learns how to see the openings, she doesn't have that obstacle anymore, but she still doesn't know which way to go. So she sets off, but the worm says, no, don't go that way. Never go that way. Sarah says thanks and heads off in the other direction. Now here's another cheat. Evaluate all advice for its usefulness before taking it. The worm's a nice guy, so Sarah trusted him, and her radar was right on. He is a nice guy, but He said, don't go that way because that road was a direct road to the castle. And for the worm, that was something to be avoided. Everything is context. Evaluating the value of advice depends upon the context. Something that worked 20 years ago might not work today. Something that works in China may not work in the USA. And someone who is trying to deceive you may be deliberately telling you something false. So once again, Sarah was not being wise or using her discernment. She may have taken a second to say, "Why do you say that?" and saved herself a lot of trouble. Still, it's not a wrong turn and it's not the end of the world. But once Sarah gets deeper into the labyrinth, she starts marking the ground with lipstick. So she knows where she's been and can tell if she's walking in circles. And she finds that someone keeps changing her marks and the path keeps changing. And she's back to that's not fair. So the next cheat is that everything is always changing. That's the nature of nature. To expect anything different is delusional. The sun rises and sets. It's always in motion. People age, rules change, seasons change, everything changes. Some change is faster than others. Some things change so fast that our opportunity to engage with it is over in an instant and then it's gone forever. But expecting that things stay the same don't work. When Sarah realizes this, it's a step towards growing up. That's not fair is the same thing. Most of us grew up with the story of Santa Claus and or heaven, and we're told that good kids get presents and that good people go to heaven. So we think that life is fair and heroes always win, and finding out that that's not true is one of those hallmarks of growing up. We all engage in a lot of magical childish thinking. Law of attraction is magical thinking. Just because we think something is true won't make it so. The world doesn't and won't align to anyone's expectations. Life is more dynamic than that. It's also a place of complementary duality. So every possibility exists in every moment. And sometimes you win and sometimes you lose. Huggle both supports and betrays her. That's not fair, but that's what happens. The path shifts constantly. That's not fair. And Sarah never knows if she's further or closer to her intended target. That's also not fair. But once Sarah releases her expectations that the world be the way she wants or expects it to be, and she begins to accept that it is what it is, she can not only be mindful and peaceful regardless of what shows up, but she could also start standing in her power and take responsibility for what she can do. So that's not fair comes up from the ego. Just to get a grip on this in order to win the game, because that's not fair is not going to change a thing. She needs more than that. And that is one of the things that makes this 40-year-old movie so powerful today. This is such a cool movie because no scene is wasted. Every bit of dialogue is useful. And there is this one scene where she comes across these two doors with playing cards on them. And she doesn't know which one to choose. So she asks them, and one of the cards says, one of us always tells the truth and the other one always lies. And she has to figure out which is which. Life's like this as well. Deception is everywhere, but so is truth. The trick is to figure out which is which. Our head never knows what the truth is. So I wouldn't say that it lies, but you can't trust it. Our heart lies. Our emotions may be true, but they can't be, or they can be based on lies. So that's not trustworthy either. The only thing that you can count on 100% of the time is your gut, or some say the body. The thing about this is, if you have trauma, the body can lie too. Safety can feel threatening to some people with trauma. So they will avoid the safe person and run right to the dangerous one who hurts them because it feels familiar. They grew up in a situation where chaos, lies, demanding behavior, and that kind of thing was normal and familiar. So that's why they like it. I don't know if they like it, but they know it. They're comfortable with it. And then they wonder why they always end up with the same type of person. And I'll tell you why. It's because we search for answers outside of ourselves. We think that if we live in the horrible neighborhood, we can just move to another place and it'll be better. And maybe it is for a while. But in 6 months, we're complaining about something different because the problem is not out there. It's always within us. And if we lie to ourselves or look outside of ourselves, we never find the peace we seek. So this cheat is that there are always liars and cheats, and there's always truth. And your job is to discern which is which. So Sarah comes across two other doors, and these both have knockers. One has a knocker in its mouth, and one has it in its ears. So one can't speak clearly, the other one can't hear. And both of them really aren't invested in what she wants. They They're cranky. They complain. They don't really want to be bothered. And she's not sure which door to go through this time either. The communication isn't clear, but she has to make a choice anyway. The cheat here is that unlike the Wizard of Oz, where the path is blazingly clear, it's a big, bright, yellow brick road, life typically isn't like that. We have lots of crossroads with no clear indication of which way to go. Either one will take us somewhere, and we just have to choose and commit. And lots of people choose then to spend the rest of their lives figuratively standing at the crossroads, wondering where they'd be if they had gone the other way. And there's a scene in Vikings that I love, and Ragnar and Bjorn are moving away from the shore, and Bjorn's looking back at the town, and Ragnar says, "Don't look back. You're not going that way." That's another way of saying, be here now. And when you're in the next place, be there. You can only be where you are. So regardless of whether it turns out that this was a desired place, the best place, the worst place, be here. You can only live from here. If you don't have the luxury of waiting for a clear sign, communication, more information, or something that's going to help you choose more wisely, choose anyway and commit. So Sarah steps through the door and the floor gives way and she starts falling. I don't think anyone would think that they had chosen well if you go straight into free fall, but Sarah lands in an oubliette, which is a dark dungeon where people are forgotten. And if you listen to the podcast with Holly Belbuono and my podcast on the hero's journey, you have heard me talk about going into the darkness or the deep. It's part of the transformation process. You go into the dark unknown so you can emerge transformed. The darkness is personal shadow. The shadow is in shadow because we can't see it. And going into the darkness forces us to confront this. You have to let go of your plans and stop being in control because they won't work here. If you think about it, most problems are unreasonable. If they were reasonable, we'd figure them out. But most of us wrestle with stuff for months and even years without resolution because we keep trying to figure them out, and not everything can be reasoned through. Sometimes life requires us to be humble, to surrender, and be willing to move even though we aren't sure where we're going or how we're going to get there. It can feel like a mistake. It often feels disorienting. But this darkness of the womb, the cave, or the oubliette is what helps us to lose ourselves, to find ourselves. We let go of the ego, the control, our disillusions, or whatever, so we can become new. And that's the point, right? Who wants to be the same old person their whole lives? If we don't reinvent ourselves from time to time, we aren't growing. So the next time you feel lost or anywhere where you think you're not going anywhere, if you're still moving, think of Sarah in the oubliette. You're probably further along than you think. So Hoggle pops in and out of the story, and he likes her, but he's afraid of Jareth. So he does what Jareth wants and gives Sarah a poison peach. They've been walking for 10 hours or so Sarah is grateful and hungry, and she bites it, and she immediately knows something's not right. So the scene dissolves into a fantasy where she's the princess, and Jareth is a charming seducer. They're at a ball where everything looks like, beautiful, sparkly, fun. It's a bit grown up, and it's everything that Sarah wants. She's dazzled by it and begins to fall under the spell. She longs for the romance, but doesn't feel quite right. Everything feels hollow and scripted. And when she sees her reflection in the mirror, she knows it's not real, and she throws the chair into the mirror and shatters the spell. This is a cheat for your real life hero's journey, because I bet that you set out with a desire or destination in mind, that you thought you would get something. Maybe you want to find true love and live happily ever after. Maybe you want to open a business or write a book and make a certain amount of money. But at some point, whenever there's a goal like that, there's an inkling or a realization that the goal is superficial. Everything outside of yourself that you hang your hopes on to make you happy is the ballroom scene. It looks wonderful, but it's hollow. But the trick isn't over yet. No, this is just another test, if you will. So Sarah's disoriented, but she's still not sure what's going on. Now, Sarah finds herself in a junkyard of forgotten things, and the junk lady leads Sarah back to what looks like her bedroom, which is in the middle of the junkyard, and she tries to distract her with toys and trinkets that she has loved and put all her energy into before. When Sarah spies the book about the labyrinth, she truly snaps out of it and says, "This is all junk." She realizes that searching for comfort in the familiar is a trap, and going back to the past isn't the way forward. And we do this, don't we? We think about the times in the past when we were happy, secure, or had something that we don't have now and can romanticize about how those days were better and things would have been better if we could just go back to that. And if you want to live fully, the only way that you can do that is from here. You can't go back. So between the ballroom scene and the junkyard scene, Sarah is seduced by romance, comfort, beauty, a fantasy life, and superficial stuff, and she chooses to live in reality. This is a huge shift for her. She comes away from these experiences remembering who she is and what she's come to do. And from this point on, she is leading the charge rather than leaning on her friends or asking for directions. So Sarah meets up with her friends and heads to the Goblin City. Time's running out now, so there isn't a moment to spare. She and her friends fight the minions to get to the castle, but once there, it's all up to Sarah. And it's always up to you. This is your journey. You're not a bystander in this. So she gets to the place where there are stairs all over the place, going in all directions. The laws of gravity don't apply here. Balls can bounce up. You can walk underneath the floor. It's nonlinear, not logical. And Sarah can see Toby now, but the stairs that look like they would take her closer might take her further away. And this is a moment where Sarah can't trust her eyes. She can't use logic to figure it out, and her gut has to lead. She has to trust herself. So she's on a ledge, and she looks down and sees Toby sitting in a dangerous place where he could fall into the abyss, and she's too far up to land safely. But literally, she takes a leap of faith. It's the only move she has. Time's running out, and he's right there. But she lands safely. And meanwhile, Jareth is there singing to her, trying to just seduce her back into her fantasy so he can have her and keep the child. And he says to her, I asked for so little. Just let me rule you, and you can have everything that you want. Just fear me, love me, do as I say, and I will be your slave. So he's offering her her fantasy, the dream, and everything she thinks she wants, all for the price of her freedom, her sovereignty. It's the promise of every narcissistic relationship, every abusive relationship. It's slavery wrapped up as a love bomb. And Sarah says, finally, I'm like, hurry up, girl, get it out. You have no power over me. And in that moment, the illusion shatters, and she's back home safely just before midnight with her brother sleeping soundly in his bed. When Sarah says, you have no power over me, all the tricks and seduction end. They only ever had any power because of her own unwillingness to assume her power and because of her entertaining the fantasy. If you've ever had the experience like this, you know this is a no turning back now moment. Once you find your power, you're unstoppable. You don't always win after that, but you have a level of conviction and authenticity that is unmistakable. It's an awakening moment. This whole journey was about this, but it's not over. And I'm glad that it's not over, because if it were, it would seem that our goal is to grow up and leave behind childish fantasies. So Sarah's back in her room. She's defeated Jareth, reclaimed her power, gotten Toby back, and crossed the threshold into adulthood. She looks around at her bedroom that's filled with toys and her childhood things, and instead of rejecting them, she says, I don't know why, but every now and again I need you, all of you. And then her friends from the Labyrinth appear, and they have a dance party. So we don't grow up and forget our child self. It's always a part of us, a vital part of us. We all need magic and imagination. You can know what's real and who you are and still entertain wonder. It's a way of engaging in dialectics or duality. You can have both. You can be both. And that's psychological maturity. We don't have to banish any parts of ourselves. Wholeness is honoring all parts of ourselves and keeping them in balance. So moving forward, Sarah can use her imagination to create rather than escape. She can play because it's fun, and she wants to rather than clinging to it. She can take responsibility rather than running from it because she knows now she can handle it, because life has challenged her and she's come up on top. We can't get this growth without challenge and personal experience. Nobody can give you this. You can't read it in a book, buy it on a shelf, go to a workshop or retreat to get it, or use plant medicine and have it fall on you. Even if you have an amazing experience, because this is not something that happens to you. Transformation requires engagement, making choices, and personal sacrifice. You have to have skin in the game. You have to risk losing it all, as Sarah does several times, and you can't play it safe and become your authentic self. So let's recap. Cheat number 1, I wish, is a reflection of desire. Desire is fuel to kick off an adventure. And if you want excitement, wish for things. But this is a double-edged sword. Desire is also the root of all suffering. Sarah was miserable because her parents wanted her to be responsible and she wanted to play all day. Then she wished her brother would disappear. So be careful what you wish for. Cheat number 2 is that contracts require consent. So in addition to being careful for what you wish for, be careful what you agree to and the terms that you negotiate to get what you want. The law recognizes boundaries, and the spirit world seems to as well. Cheat number 3, I didn't actually point this one out, but I'll say it now. If it looks too good to be true, it probably is. This is how people get swindled. We believe what we want to believe rather than looking a little closer. If someone appears to be offering you something that's going to make your dreams come true in exchange for a little something, run away. Cheat number 4, you can't escape reality. You can try, but whatever you're doing is an illusion. Addiction, being a sugar baby, compartmentalizing your hurts, doing anything where you don't have to have responsibility or feel your feelings or do the hard things is running away from life. Cheat number 5, I didn't spell this one out either, but everything has a literal meaning and a metaphorical one. Use your masculine sense of intellect as well as your feminine intuition ways of knowing to see the help that's all around you all the time. It will serve you better than trying to think your way through things because you'll see far more. Cheat number 6 is to always practice radical openness. Radical openness is being open-minded, asking questions, being open to surprise and thinking outside the box. Curiosity is your friend and will keep you from falling prey to people who want to trick you. So keep asking questions. Cheat number 7 is to ask better questions. The quality of help that you receive depends upon the questions that you ask. So you're leading the train. And there are questions that get you answers and questions that deepen your overall knowledge. So having knowledgeable answers, they answer many questions, not just the one you asked. For example, why is this happening to me? Assumes that I'm a victim. Any situation is out of my control, and my emotional reaction to the situation is justified. What can I learn from this situation puts me in control of what my present and future is like. It gives the situation a positive meaning. It invites transformation and forward movement. See the difference? Cheat number 8, ask specific questions that get you the information that you want. When is the best time to visit Venice is not a great question. When is the best time to visit Venice for a family on a budget is better. When is the best time to visit Venice for film festivals is also good. When is the best time to visit Venice for mild weather is also good. If I just ask when's the best time to visit Venice, the person who is answering can fill in the blank with anything that they want. That might not have any meaning for you, just like the worm. So think about it. Think about what you want, and then formulate your question in a way that gives you the most useful answer so that you don't get led astray. Cheat number 9, not all advice is useful. Evaluate it before using it. People can be wrong. Even trustworthy, nice people can be wrong. If you are responsible for your choices, run it by your filters and see how it feels before doing what someone else suggests. Cheat number 10, everything is always changing. Get used to it. That's the nature of nature. The world doesn't stand still for you. Cheat number 11, the world's not fair. Again, get used to it. There's no Santa Claus and justice doesn't always win. We don't live in a perfect, nice world. Life is shades of gray. Thinking dialectically is more beneficial than thinking in terms of what's fair. Cheat number 12, when trying to gauge whether or not you're making progress, look at movement. If you're moving, you're doing okay. Sometimes it feels like you're moving backwards when you're not. This is especially true if you gauge progress by happiness. Life isn't about feeling good. It's about getting better at feeling. The more in touch you are with your feelings, the better judge of truth that you can be, because as we become in tune with our bodies, that it just becomes a better barometer of the truth. So you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable for that. So just keep moving. Cheat number 13, look within for answers. Your story is about you, and nobody can tell you who you are or what's right for you. This is not to say that you have to do it alone, or that you can't have friends and allies. It just means that you are the ultimate authority. Cheat 14, if you're not sure which way to go, pick a path and commit. Remember what I said about keep moving. Cheat 15, darkness and not knowing what's going on is part of it. You don't get to know the outcome before you start. You don't get to know every part of the game before it's played. You can't have transformation without going through the dark. So when in doubt, keep moving. Cheat 16, nothing outside of yourself is going to bring you happiness or fulfillment. It's all smoke and mirrors. If you chase that and get it, it's going to feel hollow. Cheat 17, sometimes life requires us to take a leap of faith. When we have no idea what's going to be on the other side, and it's really the only choice, take a leap of faith. Since everything requires your consent, you can either do it, stay where you are, or go back, if that's a choice, but the only way forward is to jump. Cheat number 18, never give up your sovereignty. It's worth more than anything anyone else can give you. Cheat number 19, nobody can take your power away. Your power comes from within. It is in what you think and how you feel and what you choose to do, and that can't be stolen. Putting someone in prison doesn't deprive them of their power, only liberty. Don't mistake the lack of money, lack of beauty, lack of political clout for a lack of power. You always have power over yourself. Cheat 20 is that you don't have to give up your child self to become an adult. You can and should retain the qualities of both to be complete. If you look at many stories, it's the child and the elder who do the big, wonderful thing. And this is because we need the curiosity and innocence of the child and the wisdom of the adult. And finally, cheat number 21 is that the hero's journey is always about either finding or returning to your authentic self. It doesn't matter what else is going on in the story. You will find yourself by following your values, listening to your heart, and doing what needs to be done. It's the only good fight there is. So what did I miss? Is there a better movie that's full of hero's journeys, cheats, and the Labyrinth? If so, let me know what it is. Thanks for watching. See you guys next week. Ciao.
Make sure to subscribe to the show on iTunes or Spotify so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, why not show your love with a review? Thanks. See you next week.